Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Dalfino. Yes, the man who brings you cutting-edge baseball commentary with the precision of a blindfolded dart thrower at a moving target. I'm basically the Garrett Whitlock of podcasting. I start strong, everyone gets their hopes up, then I mysteriously disappear for long stretches and come back claiming I was working on my mechanics. Joining me tonight is the Undertaker of Red Sox podcast, Nick Face, a passionate talker who hates losing so much he argues with traffic lights. If you disagree with Nick on Twitter, you better hydrate because that thread's going 15 innings at least. Also joining me is Thayer Doyle, the Ric Flair of Red Sox podcasting. He loves the Sox and he loves winning, follows more sports than most people follow TikTok trends, and will woo his way through every hot take until you tap out. If baseball had turnbuckles, Thayer be climbing one right now. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now 66 and 56 on the season, currently 5 games behind the first place Toronto Blue Jays. They were losing in the ninth. The Red Sox lost to the Astros 4-1. Jeremy Pena opened with a leadoff homer off Walker Buehler because apparently we ordered the early run special. Yainer Diaz added a first-inning RBI single, then crushed a 2-run shot in the sixth just for fun. The Boston's lone tally was Ceddanne Rafaela's RBI single in the second after a Trevor Story double. Hunter Brown was 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 4 Ks, calm as a tax auditor. Walker Buehler, on the other hand, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 mistakes to Diaz and Pena, and that's the ball game. Red Sox also were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position and left 6 on base. Thayer, I'd like to start with you about recapping tonight's loss, yesterday's win, if you want to include that, and your overall take for the 3-game series.
All right, we'll start with today's loss. You sort of talked about the mistakes that he made, the home runs. I don't consider those the mistakes that Buehler made. The mistakes that Buehler made were the 4-pitch walks that were right before the bombs. This was a game of execution and lack of execution. Buehler didn't have it. He walked too many people, put too many men on base, gave the Astros too many opportunities, and the Red Sox, on the other hand, blew their opportunities. We had first and second with no outs in the second inning. Now, I'm a little old school. I would have rather have had Gonzalez bunt, but I understand. You just dropped 14 runs on the Astros the night before. He's a 300 hitter. Let him roll. What I have a problem with is that the man in front of him just walked on 4 pitches, and he swings at the first pitch. Double plays happen. I understand that. But double plays shouldn't happen when a man walks somebody on 4 pitches. You have to make that person walk. You understand how good their bullpen is. You saw that today. You have to make that starting pitcher work. They still end up scoring a run. But the inning really was shot to heck because of that sort of over-aggressive and lack of intelligent baseball. Again, we see it in the 6th inning. We get the leadoff walk for Duran. We get him to second base, and Bregman can't do the job. He can't move the runner over. He pops up. The next guy hits a ground ball that would have scored the run. It would have been 2-2. We have a whole nother ball game. Instead, we squander that opportunity. They come up in the next inning. Buehler's rolling. Suddenly, what's he do again with 2 outs? He completely loses the strike zone. I don't understand how he's capable of going 4-0 to people so consistently. And then he gives up another cookie, and that's your ball game. And that's really what it came down to today. Yesterday was just an example of what this team can do when they get on a roll. We talked a lot about it at the beginning of the year, how they're a group of front runners. They are, a contagious hitting ball club. When things are going well, they do great, and we saw that yesterday. You have to give credit to May. He pitched well, got him the win. I didn't expect it. I really thought they were going to get swept after the crochet game the other day. Have to give him credit for winning that one. Overall, the series, I'm disappointed, not in the outcome. I'm disappointed in how the outcome came about. That it wasn't a situation where, the Astros were just dominant. It was a situation where the Red Sox were just not capable of doing the little things that were necessary to win. And that's what's the most frustrating piece.
Yeah, totally agree. Nick, your opening takes for tonight, last night, and the series in full.
You smell
Bu-
something, guys?
Bueller, Bueller.
No, no, that's not it. Let me try again. I got to go back 4 years. I'm going back to 2021. And I'm going back to that because I feel like this is going to be very similar with the outcome of what 2021 was for the Red Sox. It's a tease. I feel teased is what I do. That's my word of the night. Last night, it was fun. It was great. It was whatever. But I knew that this was going to happen tonight. They do this so many times. They score and obliviate the opponent, no matter who it is, on some random occasion. And then the next night against a good pitcher, that's what Hunter Brown is, the bats go into hibernation. And that is because the approach is, once again, when you push comes to shove with this team, they don't have any. They don't have an approach. You can argue Bregman's fine. I don't have any issues with that. But let's start at the top tonight. Let's look at Roman Anthony. What was his problem tonight? That had to have been his worst game I've seen him play in months. Awful. Striking out constantly, chasing balls out of the zone. Didn't look like the Roman Anthony we have seen for quite some time. Jarren Duran, once again, missed a chase away. Here he goes again. He'll give you one hit, and then he'll go tail spinning out of control, striking out, leaving runners on, and not getting the job done. How are you guys feeling your number 4 hitter, Mr. Trevor Story? Classic example tonight. Duran was on second after the balk. And lo and behold, Story's up, nobody out. Little dink pop up to right field. Can't move the runner along. Yoshida comes up next. You know the deal with him. Little ground out, second base. Duran's at third. And then Cora comes out screaming, hollering, oh, that's a balk, that's a balk. We're probably going to get into it later. My opinion, it wasn't a balk. I think they were just trying to start something and throw Hunter Brown out of rhythm. Didn't work. Red Sox squandered Duran at third base, and Cora basically threw in the towel at that point because he had enough, and then he got thrown out. 5 hitter, that was Yoshida, and then so on and so forth. Romy Gonzalez, I think, occupied 6. William Abreu had a nice night. I do want to give him some credit. Last night's approach into tonight, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I'm seeing adjustments being made. I'm seeing him get hits off lefties, which is great. And I'm seeing him take the ball to the opposite field and get hits with. That's great to see. Other than that, Rafaela contributed. He got an RBI in the second inning, I believe it was, and made it 2-1. But I'm not impressed. This is not sustainable. The lineup has so many holes in it right now, and it's just leaving me questioning how the Red Sox could even try to compete against a true playoff team. That's what this was a test of on this trip. Playing the Padres, who are a great team. Playing the Astros, a team that's been in the postseason probably since the day I was born. That's how long they've been in the postseason. You're up against the cream of the crop. And then you hear the chatter online with people feeling okay. Well, it's okay that we're going to lose. It's okay. 2-4, it's okay. It could have been worse. What are you people smoking? What are you smoking? It is not acceptable. And then there was another one. Walker Buehler he was good tonight. He had a good outing. That was fine. No, he did not have a good outing. Walks kill, and Boom shakalaka. See you later. That's Walker Bueller. It is not good enough. I am so done with land of mediocrity. Why can't people just state he didn't throw well, we'll get him next time? But then they have to throw in, oh, well, he was good. It's okay going home 2-4. That's what set me off. It set me off. It started Monday before the series even began. And it's just not cool. I'm sorry. I want to win. I'm done playing mediocrity, lazy, lethargic baseball. If you want to play right, play it the right way. And this team still fails to do that on so many occasions. They're the biggest tease going right now in baseball because they get you right where you think they're going to be good. And then when the good competition comes, case in point what we just saw, they can't stack up to that. They can't. And I'm admitting that right now. You cannot stack up to the tough competition. You're going to beat up against your Colorado Rockies, your Nationals, your Orioles. I'm sure they'll do that later on this month. You'll beat up against them. But you gotta show that you can compete against the best of the best. And the Red Sox are not the best of the best. They're not. It's a flawed record right now. It's a flawed roster. And the offense, again, when you see these stats, oh, they're third in this category and this and that. How about we take away the games that they played horrible opponents from? Or take away that Astros thing last night because that was just ridiculous. Ridiculous. The law of averages screams you can't stack up against the tough competition.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to believe. And again, I'm not a run differential guy. I've told this to you guys in the past, but it would be. Do you realize without even thinking, without even looking this up, where do you think the Red Sox sit in run differential in baseball? Give me a value, Nick. Where do you think
I
they
think
sit?
they're third. I think they're third.
Yeah, you got it right. They're third. They're third
Yeah,
in all of baseball in
it's
run differential.
ridiculous. They're not.
Yeah, and it's just you get clouded games like you do last night, 14 runs scored, and then, we've seen this before. Thayer and I have talked about this a million times. Every time that they go out and they score 10 or plus runs, we always joke that they're going to get shut out, no hit the next night, or something close to it. And it always happens. And,
Always.
and it just seems like it's totally inept. I mean, tonight alone, you had the start, the top of your lineup, Anthony Bregman and Duran, okay, 0 for 11 with a walk and 5 strikeouts. You want to put Story into there. He was 1 for 4 with a typical strikeout, and Yoshida, 1 for 3. So the top 5 hitters in your lineup had 2 hits. It's just not good enough, and you're not going to be able to win many ball games when that happens. And look, you are going to face teams and you're going to face pitchers that, you're just going to have to chalk things up for a loss, especially when they were against Dylan Cease. He was shoving that, in that series. And, but you can't just continue to run out the same guys in the same positions and expect different results. It just doesn't work. I mean, Yoshida's been better than crap the last couple of weeks, but I mean, you've got guys like Christian Campbell in the minor leagues. You've got Joexa Garcia, the password, in the minor leagues. And we brought this up on the last show. Is it time to start thinking about bringing these guys up? I know it's a couple weeks from, expansion, but we need to get more consistency with the offense. And I'm just afraid that guys like Romy Gonzalez, I know he was 2 for 4, but these guys are gonna start wearing out. I mean, it's just gonna be it's just gonna happen. Go ahead, Nick.
The biggest thing with that, yes, I would want them all up. But your big problems here are your guys, and people are going to say, oh, Trevor Story's been so much better. Trevor Story is your number 4 hitter on your Boston Red Sox. Wake up, people. Wake up. How is that acceptable? How? Because you're not going to replace that. Jarren Duran striking out a bunch. How are you going to replace that? You're not. You can replace Romy Gonzalez at first base all you want. But then you're gonna put Christian Campbell there or whatnot. Romy's actually been hitting the ball okay. That's been fine. It's those guys, your Yoshidas, your Durans, your Stories. I'm so done with the streakiness of it. It drives me crazy because you get no consistency, or you get consistently inconsistent, and that's what they're showing. So
Yeah.
it makes it difficult when you wanna replace them because you got your money and your contracts to all these guys that are in your lineup. It's not good.
Yeah, interesting tidbit that was on Major League Trade Rumors today about some chatter about Trevor Story's opt out. And since we were talking Trevor Story,
Please.
yeah, Story acknowledges that there's the business side of it, but he loves playing in Boston. Thayer, I want to get your reactions to this piece on Trevor Story. Do you think he's going to opt out? That's the first question.
I would say yes. I think he's a smart enough individual and has enough experience to do the complete opposite of Roman Anthony. I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna trust his agent, he's gonna have conversations, he's gonna have someone who is intelligent enough to understand the market and where things are going, and then make his decision. Now, what I'm worried about, and I think most of Major League Baseball is worried about the upcoming lockout after the 26th season. So that's going to play an important role. There might be a lot of players that are not going to be opting out of anything because they're afraid of what that future might hold. So will Story opt out? I think if he's got enough in the sort of the conversations with people to say, yes, I think we'll take you. I do. Now, Trevor Story is a professional. I think Trevor Story, and yes, we have a very bad taste in our mouth for what he went through. But in general, this year, Trevor Story is playing a shortstop far better than we have seen in a lot of games. The last series that I sort of watched pretty heavily was the Phillies series, and it's Trey Turner. And I have to say, just watching the players on the field, Trevor Story was a far superior defensive player. He had better instincts, he made better plays, he has a sounder glove. There's a lot to be said about that and where people are going to go. And we have this deluded expectation. And Nick, I totally get where you're coming from and your frustrations. We have to temper that. This is not the Red Sox of the golden age. It's not even close. We don't have any of those professional people who, like the band of idiots that can come back and just understand their roles. We have a group of kids. And when you have a group of kids, you just have to understand that they are going to be, if nothing else, inconsistent. And the ones that aren't kids aren't superstars. Those are just regular, everyday, average players that you cannot rely upon to make the big plays all the time. Yes, they're going to have some of those days like we saw yesterday, and we've talked about it a lot, where hitting is contagious, positively and negatively. We've seen that negativity quite a bit with all the strikeouts, and that's what's going on today. You had guys on base, strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. Yesterday, that's flipped the switch. I know you were talking about, Nick, all of their opposite field approaches. Fantastic. They have it in them. The problem is they're kids, and it's just the nature of the beast. And that's what we have to deal with. And that's what I'm looking at for the remainder of this series. Do I think this is a World Series team? No, I do not. I do not think this is a World Series team. Do I think the American League is so bad that it's possible that this team could get on a freaky roll and pull it out of their behinds and make the playoffs and get into the World Series? Yes, I do. But that is we'll talk analytics. That's the low bar. That's the pipe dream. What I think this team is, I think we're going to get into the playoffs. We're going to hopefully win a crochet start. And then we're probably going to be disappointed by kids getting into prime time and just not being able to deal with the moment and get beat like we saw today in a game where they were competing with this team. It wasn't a disaster. They out hit the Astros. The issue is the Astros were given opportunities and they took advantage of them. The Red Sox didn't. And that's going to be the case for majority of this season.
Yeah, just to recomment and recap what you mentioned in the beginning of your segment. The thing about Trevor Story, and I know I've been frustrated with him. I've wanted him off this team as well in the past. But if he's your number 7 hitter, he's fine. The problem with the Red Sox is they don't have the middle of the order middle of the order thump and players to complement Trevor Story and put him in a better position in that lineup. He's regulated to being your cleanup hitter, and that's not a Trevor Story problem. That's a Boston Red Sox problem. And the reality is, and this is the crazy part, he's batting 256 on the season. He has a really good chance to be a 25-25 guy this year. He needs 5 more stolen bases to reach 20 from the season. He needs 7 more home runs. And we know that he can, in the next 6 weeks, it could happen where he'll hit a couple here and a couple there. It's not out of the possibility. The other part of it is in his opt out, there is a club option. So if he opts out this year, he's got 2 seasons at 25 million, and then there's a club option for 2028 for 30 million. But what happens is if he opts out, and the Red Sox have a clause to opt him back in for 2026. If they do, it automatically triggers the 2028 season. So now you're on the hook for 80 million as opposed to 55 million. And where the 55 comes from is he has a buyout at the end of 27. So if the Red Sox, if he stays and opts in and doesn't opt out and the Red Sox don't trigger that 28 option, then what happens is at the end of 27, he's a unrestricted free agent. The Red Sox could opt him in for that $30 million option, but they have a $5 million buyout. So at the end of the day, the Red Sox owe Trevor Story $55 million, however you want to look at it. The question becomes, will another team give him more than $55 million over the next couple seasons? That's what we don't know, and that's what he may or may not know. So it's maybe a combination of years and total dollars. But if I'm the Red Sox, I'm probably hoping he opts out because they don't want to spend money on him anymore. He's not a tradable commodity. And I don't know, maybe wishful thinking they'll spend that money on Alex Bregman. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we talked about this on the last show that the Red Sox need Alex Bregman more than Alex Bregman needs them. But what team would go out there and say Trevor Story is a 25-25 guy? Somebody may take a shot at him. Nick, what do you think about that?
This isn't anything to do with not loving the player that he is. He is getting positioned obviously way out of his element where he should be. It is definitely a roster issue here from management. He should not be the 4 or 5, heck even 6 hitter. I'd feel more comfortable if he was a 7 guy, maybe 6 depending upon what you had for thumb. But the biggest thing that I have is I struggle with Trevor Story because I've never been a big fan of his. And this is nothing personal whatsoever. It's just I look at him as a Colorado Rocky still. I look at his numbers a little bit differently than I would him coming here to Fenway to play here in Boston. His numbers have historically been much better playing at Coors Field. I'm going to give him credit. This season was the biggest thing on staying healthy and getting on the field and showing everybody that he's still a major league player. I think that was the biggest question mark we all faced. He has done that. I'm going to give him that. But for me, if I'm looking to build my team in different ways, I understand the glove. I get that. I'm looking elsewhere. I really am. And I think that I would put something else into that position. Is that Marcelo Meyer? That's a big question mark too, because he's got the durability issues. I just think that there could be other fish to fry than locking yourself into Trevor Story, because what I feel could happen here is it could be a regression, and that regression could be to more injuries popping up again, and then we are absolutely screwed. So in all fairness right now, I would say ride it on out. Hope that he does want to opt out and look for something else. I don't think Trevor Story's going to do it, though, because I still think in the back of his mind, number one, with the lockout, but number two, health and getting older. He's one more injury away from probably saying that's my career. I mean, look at Dustin Pedroia. Look what happened there. I mean, the saddest thing in the world happened there with Pedroia, never being able to get back in a baseball diamond. Story doesn't want a repeat of that. So he may look at this and say, oh, I'm locked into all of this. What the heck am I going to go out and risk my career and risk anything to throw all this money potentially away? Just a thought.
Yeah. In our chat, we had a couple people. Andrew the Goat says, performance by the Red Sox tonight. What was that? Just like we talked about earlier, it's just a typical Red Sox game where they'll score a lot of runs one night and then the next night the bats just become inept. And there's really no other answer for that we could even come up with. Foxy Jane says here that the if we don't know what they're throwing from the iPad or if core we don't win, then they never learn to see the differences in pitches and look like this. Can't agree more. And also writes here that so stupid and short sighted from core. Stop stealing pitches and teach people how to keep their hands back on breaking balls. So, next thing that I want to talk about is Dustin May from yesterday. This was the version we ordered off the menu, not the Some Assembly required one. Give me your thoughts there on Dustin May's performance yesterday. And do you think we can trust him moving forward in this rotation, or is he bound for the bullpen?
I think he pitched well yesterday. Have to give him credit. He kept him in the game. I know it got out of hand, but through 6 innings, it was 2-0, and he was pitching well, throwing strikes, working off the fastball. Do I think we can trust him consistently? No. I don't think we can trust anybody consistently on this team. And that's sort of been the issue that we've had all year long, that it's a team of overpaid veterans that aren't as good as the money they're earning and just inexperienced kids and a lot of fray ball players. So, do I think May is going to do what he did again? Probably. Maybe you'll see that every 3 or 4 starts. You're probably going to see a lot more of what he did in his first start. I think he's rather inconsistent, just like everybody else on this team. However, I think we just have to, it's not like we can DFA him. There's no choice. There's nobody better. We're not going to bring anybody else that's better than that. So I think we're stuck with him. I think ultimately he's probably going to be a nice bullpen piece. I think he's going to be a Joe Kelly kind of guy, a sixth, seventh inning guy. If he will focus on throwing his fastball more consistently, that's where he'll probably have the most benefit. But unfortunately, I don't trust our front office to put a team around him where that is the role he'll be successful in. They're going to try and put him into a role that he's not made for, like an eighth or a ninth inning, or being a top of the rotation starter. And that really all falls on Mr. Breslow.
Nick, your thoughts on Dustin May moving forward? What do you think? Do you think he's somebody that maybe has figured it out? He went with the sweeper more than he has in the past. It obviously worked. He had his best performance, I think, probably this season. Do you trust him? Do you think he's going to stay in this rotation?
I don't trust him because this was, again, one start. We've seen two different options here. We've seen option one when he first came to the Red Sox. It was his first start. I'm going to say it was butterflies and nerves, trying to figure out his place and get back on the mound again. I think he had over 10 days off in between his Dodger outing and the Red Sox. So that one you could chalk up to rust and just getting back to a rhythm. This one last night was a big surprise. I didn't expect it, as Thayer said, and of course you did, Jim, as well. But I think it's something to build on. I will say right now I have more trust with Dustin May than I do Walker Buehler. I can tell you that with a straight face and not laugh like I was on the side about something else a little bit earlier. But I do think that there is at least some potential here with now knowing May can give you a good start against a good team. That's a big building block piece right there. The next outing, what will he be up against? Is it Baltimore? Who's next week? Who's our
We have
week
the
series?
Marlins. We have the Marlins next.
Well, I know it's the Marlins, but I'm thinking about after that when he'd start again. It would roughly be the 18th or the 19th, that Monday or Tuesday, which would be the Orioles.
Yeah, he's
So
scheduled for
that
Monday the 18th.
okay, so that would be the Orioles. If he can go out there and throw another one back to back in somewhat of a 6+ inning, 2 runs or less, I'm gonna start to feel a little bit more confident here with a guy that's figured it out, has made adjustments, and is learning his place here in the rotation. If he can be your number 4, solidify that spot, I'm good with that. I still think I like him better in the bullpen over the long haul. I still feel that way, and I'm not changing from my opinion on that. I much rather see Cooper Criswell get his chance again to get up here, and there could be an option with Kyle Harrison because he's also been building up a little bit of a resume here down in Worcester. The biggest question mark here with him now is control. The walks are still a little bit too high for me. And I do think that that's something that, the Buellers maybe a little bit. He was a little erratic at times, not much, but he still made me there was a lot of 3-2 counts early, so that's where I wanna see a little bit more strike consistency there, but I think that that's one of the things that you could look for in the future if Bueller gives you another stinker. I personally, and I hate saying this, Bueller has earned another start. I'm gonna say that very lightly. He's earned another start.
Yeah, I mean, again, this wasn't a train wreck outing from Bueller. I hate the walks. The bottom line is that it was the offense that really lost this game tonight. If you had anything close to what you had last night, you obviously have a simple, easy victory. That being said, I wanted to switch gears and do a little preview of the Marlins series. In typical fashion, we have a day off tomorrow, travel day, and we have the matchups for the Marlins series. It's going to be Lucas Giolito on Friday against Sandy Alcantara. It's going to be on Saturday. It's going to be it's going to be Brian Bayo against Cal Quantrill. And then Sunday is going to be Garrett Crochet against Jansen Junk. I'll leave all the
Wow.
yeah, I'll leave all the funnies for that later on.
He is far from junk.
Yeah.
He is nasty.
Yeah,
So
he's
don't
yeah,
don't
he's
don't sit on him.
yeah, he's 6-2 with a 406 right now with a whip over 1.13. And Junk in his last outing did get roughed up, it looks like. 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, and a couple homers. Well, he had Junk that night. Cal Quantrill, his last outing, the Marlins lost 7-1. He had 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, only 1 earned run in that period of time, which wasn't too bad. And then Alcantara, his last 2 starts have been very disappointing. Looks like it was against Atlanta, 5 innings, 5 earned runs, and then against Houston, 7 innings, 6 earned runs. So I think we've got 3 potential starters here that, maybe we can, in fact, do some damage with. Thayer, I'll start with you on the upcoming Marlins series. What are your projections?
My projection is we're going to be looking into a mirror. The Marlins are very much like us. They are a young ball club with a lot of athletic individuals who are not the smartest baseball players in the world. They're a team that plays with emotion. When things go well, you're going to see them do some incredible things. When things get a little difficult, they're going to struggle. Their pitching staff is very much like ours, sporadic, where you're going to get some good starts and you're going to get some bad starts. The difference is they don't have that number one ace right now because he's hurt. He's coming off of Tommy John. I think Alcantara, when he is fully healthy, he is capable of being the shutdown guy for them. However, I think at the moment, I trust the Red Sox a little bit more. I think they should win this series, but it's very like the Marlins are hot and they're playing very well of late. So it could be a situation where if we allow them to maintain their confidence, then it's going to be a very difficult series. If they come in, they're young kids, they come into Fenway Park, they get a little bit awestruck by it, and the Red Sox play a brand of baseball that provides pressure and allows the fan base to get into the games, then it's very possible that the Marlins could crumble in that series. But I say they win 2 out of 3.
Yeah, Marlins are 3-7 in their last 10. They have a negative run differential. They've also allowed, let's see here, runs allowed. They are second in the National League in runs allowed. Third, excuse me. Fourth. So they're obviously at the top of that list. The one guy it looks like you got to be kind of on the concern for was a Stowers. He's having a pretty good season. 25 home runs and OPS over 900. And then Edwards, I think, is the only other guy batting over 300. A couple guys there, but just like anything, don't let one guy beat you. That's the thing. I mean, Stowers striking out quite a bit. He's got 124 strikeouts on the season, so you can definitely get him out if you can pitch correctly to him. But the problem with the Red Sox is, they'll wind up having Jordan Hicks come in and then just throw a cookie right down the middle, and he'll
Game
probably
over.
be yeah, and he'll probably be the guy with 2 runners on, get a 3-run jack, and we'll probably lose 3-2 in some fashion. So that's the thing to worry about. Nick, your reactions for the Marlins series and your projection.
I'm gonna lead this off with numbers. 27 and 34, 39 and 22. 39 and 22 is your record at home this season. I didn't realize it was that high and that different. Your road record now after tonight's loss, 27 and 34. So I'm leading into this saying home cooking. For anything, if there's anything that the Red Sox could do, it's come back home and play where somewhere they're much more comfortable doing, and that's against Miami. I'm going to say bare minimum, the Red Sox take 2 or 3 here from the Marlins. I don't want to go for the full sweep because, as Thayer said, I mean, and you did as well, Jim, there are talented players here for Miami, and they are a young team. And I love that analogy that you made where look at yourself in the mirror because that's a lot. They're very similar in composure with the youth and making mistakes and not doing sometimes the right things all the time. And I think some of these kids playing in front of a packed Fenway Park, it's gonna be difficult. And I'm sure that that Friday night game, getting accustomed to how to play at Fenway or even how to play the Monster and how to play all that, it's gonna be tough for them. So that's why I look at this series as a series that they must win. It needs to be. If the Red Sox lose 2 or 3, or heck, they even get swept, I think we're going to be having a very different conversation come Sunday night when we discuss the breakdown of this series. All in all, you need to see a bounce back from Giolito. He's going to lead it off on Friday. Bayo. Again, I don't think Bayo pitched super bad on Saturday against the Padres, or was it Sunday? Was it Sunday? Yes, he was the Sunday game. He was the Sunday game. Giolito was the Saturday game. But I need to see more command. I need to see Giolito to go back to the Friday, not sweat like a pig on the mound. Positive, it's not gonna be 90 something. It's gonna be probably in the low 70s for Friday night at Fenway, which should be good for him. And then you have Crochet on Sunday, and you need to see a bounce back. You need to see a bounce back from all 3 to get them back into a rhythm again. So, I'm glad you got those 3 pitchers going. That's a positive. Now it's time to see the adjustments that are being made and not making the same mistakes that we did against the Padres and the Astros for Crochet in the last series.
Yeah, I think the Giolito start and obviously the Crochet start are the ones that you got to keep your eyes on really peeled because those were the 2 that were very disconcerting. And if any trend is going the wrong way with the 2 of them, your playoff hopes are over because there's not going to be a way to dig yourself out of some hole that they're going to create for you. We know that Crochet's innings total are higher than he's ever had now at in his career. So he's in uncharted waters. And Giolito, however you want to look at it, it's a season back from an injury. So, you don't know how much more quality stuff he is going to be able to give you. I mean, since the All-Star break, his ERA is I think in the upper 4s or maybe even the lower 5s, something like that. I saw that written somewhere today. Couple interesting things, Nick, that you mentioned about the Red Sox and their home field advantage. 39 wins this year on the season. We're the middle of August. Couple things to kind of like just ponder. In 2016, the Red Sox won the division with 93 wins. They had 47 wins at home in 2016. 2017, the Red Sox had 93 wins, won the AL East. They had 48 wins at home. In 2018, obviously the World Series championship wins at home. In 2004, 55 wins at home. In 2007, 51 wins at home. And 2013, 53 wins at home. Point I'm saying is that it's very obtainable for them to win another 15 games at home between now and the end of the year and be in that 50 category. And that's something that, could parlay them into a postseason. The problem is the away. They've got to do better away from Fenway Park, whether they're stealing signs or not. The bottom line is that they've got to show a little bit better in these away games. But this is going to be crunch time now. You've got probably, I think I saw the 14th easiest schedule. I think moving forward, the Red Sox have. It's something like that. But, when you look at just the schedule alone of who we have, I think we've only got I think I mentioned it the other day. In September, we only have 4 series against teams over 500. September should be a month that you have to really own, and of course, moving forward for the rest of this month. So we'll see how it goes. But, first things first, try to wrap this up against the Miami Marlins and try to take at least 2 out of 3 and hopefully sweep them. I mean, again, I like to go for the jugular, so I want to sweep, and I don't think anything less than that from a Marlins team would be acceptable. But that's just me. I don't go for this 2-4. It's a moral victory crap that some people on Twitter say. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank Thayer and Nick for being on with me. We will see you again on Friday night, and we will give a recap to that first Marlins game, and then we'll be back on Sunday after that. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you Friday night.